the Midwest Marlins on here now. I've got Landon Hutcherson, who you know, he's an Ohio guy and
Yeah.
pitching coach at the University of Indianapolis. I've always said there aren't a ton of really good guys that come out of Ohio, but I guess Landon, might be the one that throw that on there for sure. But tell us what you guys are doing over there, how you're kind of handling this whole situation, maybe some thoughts for the summer, and let's just go from there.
Situation wise, I mean, obviously, kind of like everybody right now, we're kind of handling it day by day, week by week. Um, we have a lot of hope to get the guys. Hopefully, their spring ball seasons go first and foremost. That's our focus right now, um, and I know the guys' focus as well. But as we look towards this summer, we have a lot of hope that things are going to be how they're supposed to be, and we're trying to keep everything in process for the guys, keep themselves mentally strong right now. A lot of our programs have been about the physicality of the monotony of the day-to-day work ethic that we try to provide in our program. But right now, it's a lot of things that mentally they're going to go through all differently right now. So we're trying to make sure that we're available as coaches when it comes to communication right now, I think is the biggest factor. But I guess socially, with the distancing side of it, our program is so much about, the culture that it affects us a little bit differently. So what we're trying to really push the guys right now is to mentally stay strong, focus on social distancing so we can get back out there sooner. But mentally is the biggest focus right now, mental focus and mentally staying strong.
Yeah, I know OHSAA they're kind of still on that holding pattern, aren't they, on whether they're going to be able to do a spring season or how it's going to kick off and all that.
Yeah, they've pushed back, which I really I like how they've kind of handled things for the kids with Gary Soundgrass, I believe how you say it. Um, they're providing a lot of hope, and they're trying to push things back, and they're trying to be ahead of things, being proactive with worst case scenario, and trying to make sure that there could be some way to salvage the season. So as we look forward to that, we have a lot of hope that maybe we can get started by May. But yeah, it has been pushed back from April 6th beginning point now to a May 1st timeline to possibly be trying to get as much of a salvage season as possible for the guys.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I mean, we're obviously hoping that we can start at the end of May, early June, things like that. And we've been kind of chatting back and forth on how we'll handle that if the high school seasons are completely shut down altogether. And we were just talking earlier on whether we say, hey, these first 2-3 weeks of June for our events, maybe we don't focus as much on bracket play, and it's more of a showcase atmosphere where we're playing just 4 or 5 games and making sure we kind of take that risk factor into account for, pitchers and things like that, just to almost gear up as like a preseason type schedule for them.
Definitely.
And I know you guys run some of your own events during that time too, which, you guys may be looking at the same kind of setup.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that we've tried to do, like with a lot like what you guys are doing, is trying to be everywhere for the teams that are playing. So trying to either live stream or you got your phone out and you're taking information on the guys and getting that stuff out. I think that stuff in the recruiting world is going to be more important than ever now. College coaches say this summer, they don't stay at a game for 2 hours. Maybe they're there for 35, 45 minutes to watch a few innings. So, when you look at the tournament atmosphere of it, you see some of these tournaments where they're so big, and then you're going maybe an hour this way, an hour that way. Those things are logistically is going to become a big thing for scouts now. How do they recruit and get as many guys in that short period of time? So, I always want anybody to be able to compete and say they're the best team in a tournament or whatnot. I do think that there will have to be some bending process moving forward for the next year or so, because now you're going to only have so much time that these schools kind of have to make up for this recruiting void, that's been kind of created by everybody coming back. JUCO guys can stay and have a waiver at their programs too. So the recruiting world is going to change a lot quickly.
Yeah, for sure. I know Landon, we've been talking about that with, college baseball, and how are you guys going to handle that at UND, and what's your outgoing seniors? Are they pumped to come back? Are these incoming guys now looking at this like, hey man, I'm just wasting a year. I don't get to compete. And how that is all going to play out is, it's going to be interesting.
So we build a lot of our stuffs all off culture. So I know a lot of the seniors are, planning on coming back. I don't know. We don't have an exact number yet. But even the incoming freshmen, I mean, I don't think any of them are scared. And the guys that are returning, I don't think they're scared either. I think that, we've always challenged them enough. We give them realistic expectations. They know, what we expect of them. And going into, we had 15 games, and I think we had 25 pitchers that threw for us. So, that's kind of a crazy number. You don't really hear that, but each one of them know their roles. So, that's, kind of the way that we've, built the program, and we're going to continue to do that. Arms win games. And, the less times you have to keep using the same guy over and over and over as the season goes on, you're going to be set, for the rest of the year. So we actually used an opener this year, which was something new that we had never done before. So basically we had a guy that was usually our back end guy start the game for one inning and then bring in our starter afterwards. And it helped us tremendously throughout the year. So even though we didn't get to, finish our season, that was huge. But as far as the recruiting side of things go, it kind of put a hold on it. The news just came out last night with the NCAA, made the decision, which is a great decision. Now there's still some, other, wavelengths and stuff that we have to go through as far as, the money, how much money do we have? How much money is our institution going to give out? Things like that, that can change some things. But for the most part, the culture, needs to lead the way anyways. And as long as we're, there for our guys and stuff like that, they'll be good to go. And they know that they're coming here for an education, so education's, bottom line. A lot of guys, they got to go to school for 5 years anyways. So, this is just maybe another avenue for them to play for another year.
Yeah. Ryan, how are you guys staying connected with everybody in your program? And I know you've got 14s, 15s, 16s, 17, 18s, all those guys in our space, the high school space, but how are you guys staying connected with them?
Right now, we're really trying to stay like on a digital footprint right now with them on the social media platforms. Obviously, we're on there a lot with weekly emails, trying to keep the guys updated in the situations and things that we're doing. And now, obviously, because we tried to have like a short timeline of what we were trying to plan, to not go into some route with our brand and then have to kind of reinvent it with an updated timeline of being out longer. So now with us kind of being out until May, our focus is going to try to be to do more, online training and stuff that the guys can get into, more, programs that we can do off-site, like whether it's demoing axe bats and things that we utilize in the program for the youth players and things like that. So our focus is going to be to try and kind of have like an online tutorial for guys to do workouts and things like that moving forward until May.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, when these guys when we do get the green light, we kind of have to plan as though we're going to get the green light and play baseball. If these guys miss their whole spring season for high school, at what point are you guys kind of taking over and saying, hey, I need you to start focusing on this as we get it closer to, June 1 and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of the waiting game right now, and us baseball players aren't very good with rain delays, Tom. So
hey, I don't know what you're talking about.
we're working through it, and I think that's probably been the hardest thing for baseball players in general is we already have enough anxiety in our life as baseball coaches, whether a guy doesn't get a bunt down or doesn't get the hit and run sign, whatever. So the way that we look at this situation is, if the school season were to be canceled, our focus is going to be trying to get some type of on-ramp program going, because my biggest fear right now is not, every team, every coach is different, but is guys going right back into the season going 0 to 100, trying to go max fastball, swinging out of their shoes. And, baseball is a sport where, you got to keep yourself consistent, and 2 weeks off of anything, you can be out of shape, out of condition, and now you're trying to use muscles that you shouldn't be using, when you're trying to pitch or whatnot. So our focus is trying to stay within lines of the Ohio high school regulations and things right now. And then as we can do more slowly, as the green light, try and push the envelope a little bit, like we're kind of known to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I kind of want to go off that a little bit there. So going off what you said, I actually just wrote some diagrams down on a piece of paper. Now it's chicken scratch. It looks,
Yeah.
but it's literally explaining of exactly what you're talking about and what we stress when guys go to break over Christmas break. That's our biggest time of when guys typically get injured the most, if there were to be injuries, and at our level, is when guys go, we've trained them out, we do a lot of velocity training, and then they have a month and a half off. How much did they do? It's snowing, are they able to throw enough? And then they come back and they're like, all right, I'm good, my arm feels great. And then they're like, man, my arm really, really hurts. And that's when the injuries happen. So this is kind of like a rough sketch, but this is the wrong way. All right. So this is today. And if you go 1 month, all guys just go straight up. Right. And then this is where they need to be in 3 months, where this is a perfect world. Right. It's just a straight, up and down. But, realistically, it's like a 7-day like rotation, how we do things like week to week. So 4 weeks going on, it's more up and down, right? You need to go up and then go back down, up and back down. If you do those things correctly, your guys are going to be healthy, in a smarter way. So that's one thing that I've always, stressed on our guys. And what we've been talking about is, it's not the hitters that got to worry about it. It's the pitchers, so rather than throwing them 7 innings, you're probably only going 3-3-1, or something.
100%.
Little things like that.
Yeah, it'll be a different experience this summer, working with the pitching staffs, and we're so lucky to have college guys coming home and have Coach Miller. I mean, I know you're familiar with. He does a great job with throwing programs and keeping guys' arms healthy. But at this time, to have that stuff in your program, it's essential because everybody's a thrower. Everybody's throwing a baseball, in some regard. So to have that in our back pocket right now makes me feel really comfortable that if we do get to that point, if not, they're playing school ball and they're slowly, hopefully doing things the right way to get back on ramp as well. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you guys have a couple of your own events, but we see you guys at our nationals pretty much every year, whether it's 14, 15,
no
18.
Doubt.
How do you guys gear up for those? Your whole summer kind of plans up to those nationals. I know that's how we kind of see things, but how do you guys gear your guys up for that stuff?
It started with, I think, us, like one of my first groups going to the 18U nationals, and we kind of saw the talent, and we loved to set up at Grand Park there in Indiana. It's like where we could come, and there was a lot of fields, closely. Well, I was surprised. I think we started with the 18U team, and I noticed how many 17U teams were there, and they were getting scouted and getting noticed. So we started to realize that, scouting was changing, rapidly as we started our program. And as we started to see these national events, it made us aware that, there's a lot of hype in recruiting, so if you can get to the right place and you can compete through a tournament, and the tournament format can do that for you. We noticed with the pastime events, the way that they're put up to where you're playing double headers in days, there's not a lot of one game format. That's huge for us because we are blue blood baseball. We want to play as much baseball as possible. So in a double header, we might win 2 games, and the second game we figure out something to kind of go a little bit further in the tournament. So recruiting wise with the national events, it's really helped us, last year. I know a lot of guys in the 15U national tournament it changed their perspective a lot on the game, and when we got that far as a coach, I haven't gotten that far in one of them. I wanted to win it, but at the same point, to get that far, it really showed me that the experience is just as big of a part of it. When we left that night, I wanted to win that whole thing, but when we left, every guy was texting me, "I love you, coach." So I was like, this is what it's all about in a coaching standpoint, was affecting the players, having a good atmosphere, having the venues, and the kids really respond to those, the lights, camera, action type of, effect of it. So we greatly appreciate it, and we plan to do, like we've talked about, to do a lot more with pastime and collaborate moving forward.
Yeah, we try to do a couple of different variations with even our events, in that, you've got those experience events. We need to do the showcase exposure side only type of events, whether it's the round robin format or the bracket play. Obviously for us, we don't really care who wins the event. We just want it to not rain. And we want it to be 75 degrees the whole time. So, when it doesn't rain, it's 120 degrees. You can never win with those things. But, we've kind of built on that exposure side of it, trying to make sure we can add pieces here and there, whether we're tracking stats and and velos. And this year we want to grab pop times. We want to get as much of this stuff on these young guys as we can, because like you said, the recruiting of this stuff has all changed. It used to be you're just coming on site as a college coach and maybe you stumble across somebody that's on a field. Now these coaches know who's on what team, and the best, recruiter for, a top level player is the coach that is his coach. And he knows, your guys better than we'll ever know your guys. So we're looking at coaches now and saying, hey, I need like your top 5-6 guys. Maybe just give me your uncommitted guys that we can kind of pump some information out on and grab more info. If there's, your 18-year-old team only has 3 uncommitted guys, we want them to show up at the field 20 minutes early when they're in Indianapolis so we can get their 60 real quick. And if it's a catcher, I want to get his pop time. And those are the things that, we're trying to stay a little bit ahead of some of the other groups, because there's good groups besides us running tournaments. And I don't think we're naive enough to say, hey, our ego's too big and these guys are all terrible tournament hosts. It's just not true. Everybody's, doing some cool stuff, but, we want to be able to expose those guys on a different level. And that's kind of how we've grown over the years. Because when we first started in 2006, I mean, it was just, we're putting on events and at that point you're just playing games. It's just evolved so much that, now I can talk to a D1 coach and he's like, who are the top teams and where are the top players? I'm like, I can tell you the top teams, but here's who the top guys are now on those teams based on what their coaches are telling me. And that's the kind of info that we need for sure. We're back.
Am I good?
Yep.
You're good.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I'm new to this, man. You're making me evolve.
Yeah. Evolve or resolve.
We're all getting old. You gotta get on these new topics here.
I know. So where were we, guys? I'm sorry.
We were just talking about the kind of the evolution of the recruiting process and things that we're trying to add on for that exposure side of it for the guys, and just kind of trying to make sure our brands with Pastime and Mid-America are kind of at the forefront, or at least advancing in the right direction to keep providing that exposure. But ultimately, our best, a player's best recruiting tool is you as the coach, because you know them better than anybody else is going to know them anyway.
Definitely.
What are some of the things that you do with at your facility and whatnot to help with those things?
I mean, I'm big on film. You know what I mean? Like, one thing I've learned is trying to document everything as much as I can virtually. You know what I mean? So, like, I know like my own notes, like your scribbled notes, like you know what I mean? You know your chart better than anybody, but to somebody else, they may not see that stuff. So one thing I've tried to do is create more content of the players, so the parents, can kind of see what their sons are doing and things like that. But on a recruiting standpoint, it's a digital footprint that the coaches can kind of go back and also see, not just if they were a talented player, but somebody like you might want to know, have they gotten better? From the film that I've watched from this past year, in 6 months, he's not, impinging his back elbow and he's getting more extension through contact. If I see a player that can adapt and get better, through time, and I have a film to kind of go back on, I think that makes it even easier with recruiting, because you want to know that someone's working on their game. And if someone, the Marlins, we're always trying to put content on our guys. But it also shows how much that guy comes to the facility too. If I'm able to get film on you and be able to work with you more, it's also showing your work ethic and your passion to the game. So I guess we've just been really big on the flat ground, doing stuff with you guys in Pastime and Mid-America and Scout, getting information out that way. So I really do believe that the constant contact that I'll text you about a guy and you're like, we're already kind of filled up. We may cross paths 6 months later, because that's how the recruiting world works. And you have that film, you have updated film now, and he's still available. And it's the consistency of that's how you're going to place guys. It's not just sending you one thing on a guy and saying, man, did you like him or not? If you really believe in a guy, you've got to continuously contact that coach and continuously try to put information out on that guy with his ACT scores, his film, and so forth. So in the facility, that we're all about training, but outside of the training, we've tried to be more about the content of what's going on at practice. If a guy start hitting the ball well in a live cage, I'm going to get my phone out. I'm going to try and get as much as that as I can capture, because a scout doesn't care just about my word. You know, I don't have the 20 years of MLB experience just to send them an email on a guy. So we have to prove what they do with either the radar gun or the Rapsodo to try and document that with what we feel as a coach and in our background.
Yeah, and there's so many new like tech products that come out every year. I mean, we all go to ABCA convention and stuff like that. I mean, there's so many of those products, and it's like, dude, which one do I use? How can I use this? How can it benefit my guys? What do we need to do? And it's, I mean, those things are cool. Those are the things that we want to introduce in our events as much as we can. And, you know, capturing stats and velos and all that stuff's great. It's that video stuff is priceless. You get the good content on there. I mean, you can't put a price on that stuff for sure.
Well, and we've utilized the Rapsodo, and I sometimes think it's almost out of the capability of the high school guys understanding completely of what they want to utilize, out of spin rate, pitch design. Like, we can throw those fancy words at them, but all they care about is velo, you know. And some kids really are ready for the understanding of what we're talking about, but so you almost have to dumb it down a little bit to where, you know, they can talk about, if it's spin rate off the bat, you can talk about where they're standing in the batter's box, maybe get a little bit more, you know, exit velo off the bat because of they don't get their hands through the zone generated that quickly. So we try to utilize it to the capabilities of the player to unlock maybe the movements and things that, you know, that are the best for them, you know, because as a coach, we're always training them on the physical things to make them the best player that they can be. But to where I see the numbers off of some of these things, people get excited about them, but, you know, there's data in everything. It's utilizing that data to make the player better, you know, through his movements and things, you know, and that can be confidence. You know, it can be as simple as confidence with some of the guys, that they can see their numbers and the work that they're putting in now, it matters more to them because they can see growth in it. If I'm a weightlifter, I can see that I added 25 pounds to my bench press. That makes me feel better about myself. I want to lift more weight now. So I think that there's some world of it that the high school guys, there's things that it can unlock for them, but it also, like I'm sure Coach Hutch will tell you, it can also set back some of them because they don't want to work on their weaknesses. Now they want to just focus on their strength. So the tech stuff is great, but up twice.
All right, you got 60 seconds left on this thing before your internet goes out. Wayne has got final question for you.
Yes, sir.
So what sets the Marlins apart from, you know, other organizations that are in Ohio or across the country?
I honestly feel what sets us apart is the culture side of it. The brotherhood, you know, like we don't go into different states to recruit players. You know, players have been, it's whether a guy's committed or they go to college there, and the whole college team has grown just because of the referrals of guys that played here in Marlins. Some guys that never even played here, you know, started to want to come back in our organization and train and do different things. And so starting it, I mean, honestly, it's the culture side of it. It separates us completely. It's the work ethic component where the guys can come in the facility as much as they please. So my big side of it, I would say, is it would definitely be the culture that sets us apart from other organizations.
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right, man, we'll let you get on your internet stuff, and we're going to get these out here for you.
All right. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a great day.
Thanks for coming on, man.
See ya.
All right, bye.